Welcome to Glowing Success. My name is Heidi and I am your host. This podcast is for beauty entrepreneurs. Join me weekly as we dive into the beauty industry's ins and outs, from business strategies, top-selling services, and taboo topics. I will be interviewing industry leaders with empowering stories and game-changing insights. Let's illuminate your path to success together. Let's jump into this next episode. Welcome back to Glowing Success. Today we are going to be talking about more than a booking link, build your website. So we're talking all about websites and why you need one today. I have been hearing a lot of buzz online about you need a website and more than just a booking link. And a lot of people are just using their booking links instead of having an actual website to land on. And let's really get right into why. I'm all about this. I have recently changed over from just having a booking link to a website myself. So I will say I'm not perfect on this one. But after reading about, why people suggest that, I was like, oh, that makes sense. Yeah. So let's talk about it, okay? So a website gives you full control of your online presence, number one. So we can't really control social media, right? So we've learned that because the algorithms change, they shut down. Well, same things with maybe booking sites, right? Sometimes booking sites are going to be a little wonky, but at least you'll have a landing page. You also will have full control over how you brand, right? How you are expressing your brand. So your colors, your logo, your font style, everything is involved in that, right? So you can have an online store, you can have your booking link for your actual, booking page, whatever you decide that you use for that. You can post testimonials, you can post photos. So essentially think about the ways that you're probably using social media. You could probably be putting some of that information onto your actual website and your landing page, your home page, so to speak. And so it just gives you that one extra area where just in case all those things do go down, you still have that information somewhere, right? And I like that you can do your branding with this because, that it's really about that. You are trying to have people remember you. You're trying to put yourself out there in a unique way, and that's what your brand's all about. So just like a Google page, so you've heard me talk about having a Google page and having your Google reviews, it does give a little bit more credibility and professionalism to your business as well. So if people are going onto a web page, if they're clicking onto your specific domain, which I highly suggest is customizing your domain, and whatever website host you choose to go with, a lot of website hosting, they have domains as well. So I have mine on 2 different sites, but that's fine. It doesn't matter. I've just had my domain for so long and I didn't necessarily have my website hosting as long as I've had my domain. But the place that I have my domain name, they have website hosting on there. So I could have had a full website through them as well. So just know that you can do all of this in one click. Okay. It doesn't have to be complicated. But the other thing to think about is that professionalism is a little bit more there, right? Instead of them just going immediately to a booking page, immediately to, a list of all your services, you have a little bit more of a polished look, a polished appearance, which can really send off to people a little bit I'm more professional. I'm a little bit more credible. I thought about this, right? So let's talk about how this affects with SEO. So SEO is search engine optimization. So basically this is if anybody goes to Google, let's say, and they search some keywords that you have on your website, this is definitely something that'll help you kind of rank up a little bit. So I don't know if you've Googled something recently, but whenever you Google some keywords, all of a sudden a bunch of things will pop up below it, right? So you'll see a lot of sponsored or paid ads right below that because those people pay to be higher up, to be more visible, to be right in front of you. So obviously, and then you can scroll down. And when you scroll down and the people that aren't paying to be visibly high, there's different ways you can be visibly higher up on the first page of search. And so keywords help with that, reviews help with that. Google has its own kind of algorithm, so to speak. So I always tell people like higher reviews, there's different keywords you can use on your website. There's a lot of different things when SEO happens, but if you're looking to rank a little bit higher for free, this is one way to do it. Your website is going to be the way to do that. And unfortunately, a booking link is not going to give you that SEO. So I highly suggest putting blogs on your website so you can have a whole section where you have blogs, because in each blog you're using keywords, right? The other thing about SEO is you can do backlinks. So if you are linked to another page, let's say, so for me, I have obviously this podcast. So I can backlink to my website from my podcast, or I can backlink to another site to my website. So anytime your link, so to speak, is on another website, it's called a backlink basically. So it's going back to your website. That also helps with SEO. So basically think about it, you really want those keywords to be there, okay? So anything that you're trying to put out to the universe, so I do a lot of lashes, so I talk about lashes a lot on my website, right? Or if I'm doing business coaching, I'm going to talk a lot about coaching on my website. I'm going to use these keywords that Google picks up that is relevant to that topic. Also, when you're thinking about making your website, a lot of times it'll be easy to do this, but you want to make it mobile friendly. For instance, mine has both of those automatically. So I didn't have to think about anything. I didn't have to even click any buttons to make it mobile friendly. But sometimes certain places, certain web hosting, you do have to click that. So make sure that you're hitting that, and make sure you're always looking how it looks on a phone compared to a desktop. Sometimes people even have iPad viewers. It just depends on who you're using for your web hosting. So make sure it's mobile friendly, because that also helps SEO, right? But I will say, like, building out your website, it does not have to be complicated. There's a lot, like I was kind of mentioning earlier, there's a lot of web hosting sites that are just plug and play. A lot of them are just like, they even have like whole website builders in there. You can just like literally drag and drop. You can use images that you want. A lot of them even have just custom templates. So you can just use the template as is. You don't have to move anything around. You just add your information as needed. So I will say, like, anything is better than nothing when it comes to putting stuff out there. So I've learned a lot about this with social media. Like, just put something out there, and obviously you can be strategic. Don't get me wrong, and that does help. So obviously strategy helps with anything. But if you're just sitting there in analysis paralysis and you're just like, I want my website to look perfect, so I'm not going to release it for another month until it looks perfect, don't do that. Highly suggest don't do that. Put the necessary information on there, so when people land on it, they know where to book you. They know a little bit about you. Maybe they have a picture, maybe you have a gallery. That's all I have, and that's it. And then from there, after you've sat with it for a couple of weeks, or after you played with it, you can perfect it over time. But now that it's out there, right? So I don't want you getting so stuck on it being so perfect that you never put it out there for the world to see, because that's also not going to help you, and that's not going to help anybody. So, and I apply this to social media. So I've been getting better about strategy, but for a long time, I had a lot of analysis paralysis when it came to social media, and I got over that, and I just post things that I feel like is intuitively that I want to post. So it's been working great. But you really want to make sure that, of course, whatever website host you choose can integrate. If you already have a credit card processing type service, a lot of times your credit card processing service probably is with your booker, right? Your scheduler. So I use Square, for instance. So I made sure that whatever website hosting I do is going to integrate with Square Appointments, because that's where my clients book at. I just went with Square for my website, but because I wanted to make everything easy. But I will say every website host has different things that they really offer and different things that they specialize in. So I know Squarespace is another really popular one. WordPress is a really popular one. There's all sorts of different ones out there. So I highly suggest writing down what's important to you when it comes to your website, what's important to you when it comes to building your website. And can it connect to your scheduler that you already have? A lot of them do connect in different ways. So if it doesn't automatically connect, you can do API, Or you can do something like, I think, Zapier, which kind of puts things together. So don't worry about that too much. If you really are stuck on one website builder, but it has to do an API key, let's say, to connect your checkout, your appointments, or your online scheduler, I wouldn't worry about that too much as long as you think that you can click those buttons and you can do that. Because most of the time on the internet nowadays, you can really connect almost anything. So like I said, with Zapier, with APIs, with, things like that. So mine just happens to be really easy because everything's on Square. Square has their own website host or builder, and so I just kept it that way. But I will say, now that I'm kind of connected in that way and I played around with it a little bit, it does not have as much customization as I was hoping. And so in the future, if I'm looking for something that's a little bit more, I definitely will research and kind of probably find one that I can customize a little bit differently. Now, that's my spa page. That's where my clients will book for their service appointments. But when it comes to my coaching business, I went through a completely different company and web host because I needed different things from it. So Square is really good about some things, but then it's not really good about others, right? So I needed a service that was different. So I use a completely different platform, completely different website host for that. It has a little bit more CRM capabilities, has a little bit more funneling and course capabilities and so forth, because that was important for my coaching business. So I really do like the customization that comes with that. I've been very happy with all the connection points, I will say. And, I've made other things, I've learned along the way, so to speak, when building that website and building all of my things to come. I will be coming out with courses soon, so stay tuned on that one. But, so I have played around with a different system to know what Square's is compared to that I've used. And so I just know that Square just doesn't have as much, customization when it comes to certain things that are on your landing pages, how it looks and how you do it. A lot of times too, like, it's about visualization, right? So when you're in the back office of these websites and you're building out your pages and you're building out your homepage and you're doing all that, sometimes it's all about how it looks and how easy it is for you to use and navigate in that way. And I will say, like, Square does not have an easy navigation when it comes to that. It's not laid out how I visually would want it to be laid out, but I get the job done because I played around with websites long enough to know, like, what's important, what needs to go where, and so forth. So if that's important to you, look it up. General Google comparison can really help with that. You can, maybe enlist ChatGPT or something like that to compare these websites for you. So there's a lot of different ways to compare websites if that's something that you're interested in, or if you already have one, I would say dive in. Now, when it comes to investing in this, because there is an investment for it, like, there is definitely some websites that do free options, but I will say the free options are always free, right? So with that, a lot of times they won't let you customize your domain. So you'll be like the website.com/ whatever you put. It won't be your domain name. So my domain names that I have personally is sapphiremn.com and sapphirespa.info. And I think I have sapphirelashes.com as well. I haven't done anything with that one. So I can backlink maybe that one or something like that. I can use that in some way. Anyway, my sapphirespa.info, that one, if you go that, to that website, obviously that's my coaching site. It'll bring you right to my coaching page, my website, so to speak. So if you do a free version with any of these web hosters, generally speaking, you don't get to pick your own domain, or you don't have, like, I came in with domains. So you do sometimes have to pick a paid plan, because that's where you can pick your domain, or that's where you can bring in your own domain. So be careful of that one. I highly suggest getting a domain that's yours, that is unique to your brand, unique to your business name, possibly. See if it's already taken or not. There's a ton of domain websites. So that's another one to research a little bit. Originally, I have my sapphiremn.com. I have that one on HostGator, but then my two other ones, I think my other one's my sapphirespa.info. I think I have that one on GoDaddy. Sapphirelashes.com. I think I have that on GoDaddy as well. So, they're all relatively similar. I think GoDaddy is a little bit easier and seamless to work with than HostGator. HostGator's a little bit more complicated in their back office, I will say. Like I said, though, that's all personal choice. And that's all sometimes people are going to want things that are different than others. So go with those websites. If you don't have your own domain name, they have a lot of search options. So you can search what you want. If you have an idea of a domain name, you can search and see if it's taken. There's a whole database and a whole way that people sell domains out there. So if your domain is taken, but the person's not using it, they'll have it for sale. And a lot of these websites, they'll have a sale area. There's whole websites just to buy domains. So don't worry too much about that. The only time I'd worry about it is obviously if your exact domain name is taken and somebody's actually using it, then you have to pick something else and it's not for sale. Usually you won't see it at all populate. But I highly suggest doing your own custom domain because once again, that just gives you a little bit more professionalism. That just sets you apart a little bit. You're building your brand. And I highly suggest starting to think about that. So if you're just starting off in the beauty world and you are kind of getting your feet wet, your brand will build over time. Don't get me wrong. But once you have built, your brand a little bit, you really want to make your mark and you really want to start doing more things with your brand because that's more recognizable to clients. A lot of people just know me as Sapphire, right? So that's what a lot of people say. Oh, that's my business name, So when they're telling others, they're like, oh yeah, I went to Sapphire. So they won't even use my full business name sometimes. But that's because I built that brand. People know that I have a lot of pink in my spa. That's another brand thing. So I've branded that over the years I use a lot of pink and blue. So there's all sorts of different ways you can build your brand, but it is part of, how people can remember you sometimes. It's part of who you are. It's part of just that essence you give out to the world. It's part of your ambiance. I mean, it's really part of everything, but it will be also part of your website. It'll be the color choices, your fonts, your pictures, how you do your buttons, how there's so much that goes into that. So you could really customize it. So have fun with it. But I highly suggest if you just have a booking link right now, use that booking link on an actual website. You can have a button on the website that says schedule here, schedule now, book with me, whatever you want to use. So don't get me wrong, you definitely have that booking link, it definitely helps. But now have a website so we can get some SEO, we can rank on Google, we can be taken a little bit more seriously as a business owner. We can feel a little bit more professional. We can customize, we can brand, and all of those reasons. So I hope you have found a lot of goodies in this episode, and thank you for listening. I hope you liked that episode and found something useful or a tip that you can use immediately. If you are wanting more marketing tips, business tips, or anything like that, I have a lot of resources on my website. So I have PDFs that you can download for free. So look in your show notes. There should be a link in the show notes that you can click on and it'll take you right to my coaching website. And thanks for listening.